What's going on, guys? So in front of you, you were looking at products that almost all RVs are going to have. And what I mean almost all RVs, when you go out to a dealership and you purchase an RV, it is very, very likely, higher than not, that you are going to have these products inside of your RV, but not just these products, but from this specific manufacturer, WFCO, or affectionately known as WFCO. Now, the reason why this video is critically important, and the reason why you may have also seen a few other videos on this topic, is because of how important it is to look at legitimate brands and legitimate product. So you're not going to want to miss this, because you could actually and unintentionally be installing something inside of your RV that could lead to a fire and you didn't even know. Hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so let's first start off by talking about WFCO or WFCO technologies. Again, this is probably going to be the most popular brand of this type of product you see in almost all RVs that are on the road. They make the power station, they make the converters, and oftentimes you'll see their inverters and other components within most RVs. So walk a dealership lot, you're probably going to see this brand. If you look a little closer whenever you're walking through RVs, or if you look through your own RV, you're likely going to see this as the manufacturer of the specific components within your RV. Now, why is this so important? Well, first of all, they are probably the most counterfeited product you can find on Amazon. And what I mean by that is when it comes time to either replace or upgrade one of these components, you will see so many companies trying to counterfeit them to sell them as a low-cost generic option. And this can be really, really dangerous, because you could be buying a product that has not gone through the safety testing and certifications that the WFCO products do. Now, this is a big deal. So whenever you look at these stickers and you see all these little logos in the corner that explain certain things like FCC and UL, a lot of people don't know what those actually mean. I think a lot of people do understand that they are typically certifications or tests that products have undergone to ensure that they're safe. This is where counterfeit products get away with a lot of stuff, because either they fake a certification, or they don't put the sticker on there at all, or they just leave off certain aspects and they'll put other types of certifications that don't matter. But when it comes to electronic components like this is where things are critically important. The main one that you're looking for, of course, and to ensure you're not getting a counterfeit, is you want to look for the WFCO brand. So every WFCO product or WFCO product will have their logo on it. It'll be listed at the bottom of the auto detect sticker right there. It'll be listed on the product itself at the top, and it will look exactly like their logo. It's not going to be some weird font. It's not going to look different. It will be the WFCO brand. Why is this important? Because if you're buying genuine WFCO products, keep in mind, at the time of filming here, they are not something sold through my channel sponsor. So when I give you this information, I'm doing this genuinely because I want you to be safe. But you can see one of the most important labels that's there. Not so much the FCC one, that one's a good one as well, but the UL listed. Now, what does that mean? When you see the UL listed mark on the WFCO products in your RV, it means that they've been independently tested by underwriters' laboratories to meet rigorous safety standards for electrical and fire protection. Now, this is a big deal, because I've personally seen where there have been fires in RV storage lots, in people's driveways, where an RV has actually burst into flames because a component has failed and caught fire. And a lot of those issues typically happen with older RVs where somebody has replaced a component with a brand or a product that was generic and they thought looked the same and did the same thing. And that's where things can get really, really dangerous when you're trying to save a few $100s, and instead of upgrading to the, let's say, this version of this, they go to the knockoff version of this to try again to save some money, because it says that it does the same thing, even though it doesn't show the logo, it doesn't show that it's UL listed, but it has the same model number. So what do I mean by that? So that's where we're going to talk about these components. So in front of you, you're looking at power centers as well as power converters. So these three right here are power converters, even though both of these power centers have power converters built into them. They're actually in the bottom part of both of these. And what these are designed to do are to convert 110 or 120 volt that you plug in to 12 volt to charge your battery, so your battery can power the 12 volt systems within your RV. That's essentially how it all works. So you plug into shore power, right? That's that big 50 amp or 30 amp cable that plugs into the side of your RV, and it feeds power into your power center right here. Your power center has a plug on the back of it traditionally, and these don't because these have the converters built into them. But if these didn't have the converter, they'd have a plug on the back, like a standard wall plug. It's either a 15 or a 20 amp plug. And then this would plug into that. This, on the other end, has 12 volt connections that go to your battery, which charge your battery. And then the battery itself provides the 12 volts back to this box to give you the ability to power all of your 12 volt things like your slides, your leveling system, your awning, and your lights inside of most RVs. So these components can eventually fail, right? Everything with electronics and circuit boards and things like that can eventually fail, especially in an RV environment where it's being, subjected to an earthquake and a hurricane all the time. Not necessarily a hurricane with this stuff, but an earthquake. And when they fail, people typically go on Amazon or other places to look for replacement parts. And that's where things can get really, really ugly, because you can look for a power converter with this model number, and then you will see hundreds of them pop up that look identical, except they don't have the WFCO logo on them, and they don't have a UL listed sticker on them right here or a label. Now, some of them have actually been counterfeiting the UL listed. Some of them were actually creating a logo very similar to the WFCO logo just to try to fool people into buying them. The thing you need to keep in mind is these counterfeit products sell for like 80 bucks, 60 bucks, $100. These real products actually sell closer to like $200, $250, because these are the legitimate real deal product, the genuine product versus the counterfeits that are out there. Now, you probably heard me mention earlier upgrading. Why would somebody want to upgrade from, say, this to this? The reason why is because this one, which came out of our Brookstone, did not support lithium in terms of charging. It only supported lead acid, which means from the factory battery in the RV was a lead acid battery, and at the time lithium wasn't as popular. So this was the brand of power converter that was installed, 55 amp power converter, which only worked with lead acid chemistry, maybe a few others, but it was not compatible with lithium. Their newer versions now have AD at the end, which stands for auto detect, and you can see they have these stickers that actually say auto detect, and on the side here they give you the sticker to also say auto detect. So when they send this to a manufacturer, they can put that sticker on there so you know that the power station or the power converter can auto detect and switch to lithium profiling for charging if you swap or upgrade to a lithium battery, or if they install one in from the factory. Now that I've pointed that out, you can see that, okay, so I need to remove this one because we have lithium inside of the RV now, and whenever we're plugged into shore power, we want to be able to charge lithium in the RV. We had to upgrade to the auto detect version. Traditionally, that means you're going to need to drain your battery down completely. So if it's a lithium battery, basically you just turn everything on, keep it unplugged from shore power, let the battery drain to zero, and then this will automatically switch over to that newer profile to charge lithium, which charges at a slightly higher voltage. As you can see here, for normal lead acid batteries, 13.6 volt DC and 14.6 volt DC at 50 amps for lithium. So this is one of those areas that is really important if you plan on upgrading to lithium. A lot of lithium battery manufacturers, especially the lower end ones, are going to say just, drop the new battery in and you're good to go. But that's not true. You need to be sure that your charge controller is capable of switching profiles so it can provide charging to a lithium iron phosphate battery. But again, this is where things get really, really important. Most RVs that you're gonna buy will have the newer version built into them, because this is really what's gonna be available to them now. You're not gonna see a lot of the non-auto detecting versions in RVs unless the RV tends to be more than maybe 2 to 3 years old. But the best way to tell is to find your power converter, which is traditionally gonna be near this power center somewhere. It's usually on a panel behind it or underneath it, and look for the AD at the end of the model number. So again, this is the WF9855 AD versus the 9855 that is not the auto detection version, which means this is only going to put 13.6 volts out versus the 14.6 volts that you get with the auto detection. Now, you also, again, have to understand that in most cases, you're gonna have to drain your battery completely dead for this to auto detect, switch over to lithium, and change to that higher voltage profile for lithium charging. But the primary point of this video is to talk to you about the fact that there are a lot of counterfeit products out there, and just because they look the same or very similar does not mean that it is a quality product. This is an area that you can unintentionally purchase a counterfeit knockoff product, install it in your RV, and it fails and catches your RV on fire. I'm not saying that WFCO is the only legitimate product out there. There are other manufacturers that make this stuff that are completely legitimate and safe. But what I am telling you though is, if you are only shopping based off price, basically let's look at it this way. If you criticize the RV industry for only putting cheap stuff in, then you need to also give them credit when they put higher end stuff in. And if you plan on replacing that higher end stuff, replacing it with quality replacement parts and not going with the cheapest possible component. Because when you do that, you're essentially doing what you blame the RV industry for doing, but you're actually doing it worse because you're replacing it with a part that knowingly or maybe even unknowingly is the cheapest out there, and that's why you're getting it, versus getting something that is higher quality. And again, getting a product like this from a manufacturer that's reputable is super important, especially when you're dealing with the power within your RV. Okay, so I just unboxed the inverter. This is a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter that is very common in a lot of RVs from the manufacturer. And what I like about their product is they have a very industrial look to them. They don't have like the coolest, sleekest outer cases to them. They're not trying to blow you away and impress you with the look of the unit. But what, again, they do that a lot of people don't do is they get their products tested by Underwriters Laboratories. This is a big deal. The fact that they're UL listed is not something that I can understate. It means that they have gone through the testing to ensure that these are safe and that they're designed to work within an RV environment, and that they've been tested against fire and other possible issues. So again, these are great quality products, and if you see the WFCO brand in your RV, don't automatically assume that this was the cheapest brand and they just put it in there to put the cheapest product in there. So keep that in mind. Whenever you are looking in your RV, you're looking to replace stuff, you're looking to upgrade products, you're looking to see if the brands that are in your RV are good, reputable brands. This is an area that if you see the WFCO brand, it is a good, reputable brand. And again, they are not a sponsor. They are not a product that my channel sponsor carries, at least at the time of this filming. I do actually wish they would carry the WFCO brand because it is a very, very solid product. It's a legitimate brand. And quite frankly, it's one that the vast majority of the RV industry trusts, and they hold up really well. These are, again, products that traditionally you don't see a lot of problems with. Because in a world where people are very critical of components that go into RVs, this is kind of the standout of a brand that you don't see a lot of problems with. Anyways, please drop a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.